Ah, little music there to start the day. Good morning, everybody. This is Bryan Armentrout, and of course, this is Friday morning, and it's 8 in the morning here in the mountains. It's 10 on the East Coast, and of course, this is Food Safety Chat Live. We do this every Friday at 8 a.m., and we talk about all things food safety. And we are currently live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So there's lots of fun going on there. I am out in Colorado where the weather's not too bad. We've had, of course, last week a lot of snow, but things are really improving here. So unlike the East Coast where Ahmed is we really don't have a whole lot of spring. One of the things I liked when I lived in Pennsylvania was the nice spring that we have where everything flowered and things like this. So Ahmed, how's your weather back there this fine Friday?
It's kind of a little bit cloudy, looking like it's going to rain or something out there.
Yeah, we got some rain coming here too, but that's a good thing at this time of year.
But it's better than snow than Colorado, I guess, I'm sure.
Definitely. So, of course, I'm in Loveland, Colorado, which is not the ski resort. It's actually the city of Loveland, which is by Fort Collins, where Colorado State is. So about an hour or so north of the Denver metro area. Where are you at, Ahmed?
I'm in Lansdale, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so that's kind of, where's that out in, so it's kind of east, kind of up a little bit, right?
The northeast extension going towards Allentown.
Okay, gotcha. Pretty area there with the mountains and everything. I like the mountains in Pennsylvania.
Let's see why I can't put my...
So everybody, please, as we're getting started here this morning, let us know where you're at. Say hello to us. And if you're new to this format, what we're doing here is this is not a webinar, but what we're doing is we're taking a food safety topic and we're discussing it. So we bring in experts like Dr. Baugh, and we talk about these topics. And what makes this really cool is that interactive piece of it. So please say hello in the comments. And as soon as you have a question, put it there in the comments and let us know, and we will jump on that right away. So of course, this morning, I'm very happy to have a leading and pioneer within the food safety field, within food safety for the U.S. is Dr. Ahmed Baugh. He's worked in a variety of fields. Let's see. So you've worked in dairy. You've worked in meats. What other fields have you worked in?
Poultry, meat, dietary supplements.
Dietary. Oh, I didn't know the dietary supplements. That's pretty cool.
Oh.
That's a huge one out here in Colorado. So Dr. Baugh has graciously agreed to talk with us this Friday. And what's great about Dr. Baugh is he's also in the Food Safety Foundation, which is our membership group that we have together where we get together and talk about food safety things. So he's an amazing resource in there for other members of the group who have questions around food safety and these type of things. So an interesting topic today for sure. We are going to continue our discussion around Baha, good to see you this morning, my friend. We have a topic this morning that's interesting because it's really a continuation of what we've been talking about around food safety culture. But from this perspective, instead of talking the theoretical, here's what the CFR says around FSMA, and here's what USDA says, and here's what SQF and other agencies are talking about for food safety culture. With Dr. Baugh, we have a really good opportunity here today to talk more about the actual executional side of food safety culture, because I know, Ahmed, that that's a big challenge for people, right? They're looking at this and saying, okay, I understand what they're saying in the EU. I understand what Frankie Honest at FDA is talking about. I see what it says in the standards. How do I actually put that into my operations, right? That's the challenge.
That's absolutely true. I'm trying to see it. Can everybody see my chart?
See, yours hasn't popped up yet. I don't. Oh, I think it's in private.
Oh no, it's in comment.
If I see private, I can see good morning, folks. Go up to comment, and then so there's a little thing there on the side that says all destinations. So I think you should be good on that side. So like so.
I'm trying to get some help here to see what's going to chat with us, but I don't know.
So one of the things definitely, Ahmed, that we've learned on these food safety chats is anything technical, things can go crazy. So the last couple of weeks, there were times where I just my screen went black. And one of the things that we figured out through some troubleshooting is I was using Wi-Fi, so now I'm using Ethernet connection to make sure that doesn't happen. So fingers crossed this week. So one of the things that we do also when we start off with the food safety chat, Ahmed, is we like to have a group drink. So I prefer coffee. And I asked you before this what your preference was, and you don't drink coffee or tea. So hopefully, do you have some water with you or anything like that?
Yep. I have one right here, right now.
Awesome. All right. So everybody get your drink, and we will join Dr. Ba in a beverage sip.
Thank you, fellows.
Good morning, Pedro.
I can see everybody else's chat, but I can type in there. I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's okay. I'll handle that. I can take care of that. So that's drink a coffee for me in the morning. That's the best part of the day sometimes. So food safety culture. It is such an abstract thing, right? It kind of floats up in there in the air on it. I mean, how do you bring such an abstract concept down into a plant and actually execute that type of activity? What are some of the ideas you have on that side at a high level?
Well, that is a significant challenge that we have. And to bring that into the paradigm of the plant, you have to make sure that it comes from the leadership. Because that it cannot be from bottom up, it got to be from top down. And then at the end, the bottom with the people on the floor who are more important, they will catch on to it because it's like do what you do, say what you do, and prove it, right? Because most plants that we have seen now, the challenges they have two kind of standards. The first standard they have is to prepare for various kind of audit. So when they pass this audit, they are happy and they make 90 something. Some people I've been to plant that they said they scored 99. I said that's impossible. Because when I walk through the plant, just by walking through the plant, I can point out maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 different things just in less than 10 minutes.
Right.
So if you have the challenge, if you have a two kind of culture, one culture is to prepare for an audit to pass it, to get the certificate, and then you go back to the norm, which is like just produce. You have an issue there. But there are different ways you can go about that to engage the employee. I will give you guys an example. We started fostering a food safety culture where we using the internal audit at the facility of 10 facility, and then we have a trophy and a plaque. When we're auditing the plant, we based on the GFSI or BRC or SQF criteria. Let's say, for example, today, this month, last month, it was the first flow, and Pedro, he won that award. I'm just calling some name out here.
Nice.
Before we had this stuff where we were giving them only the trophy. And it's like it become very competitive, but the trophy circulate. Every month somebody else get the trophy, but then we put a caveat in there as well where we give them a plaque. And then we say, for example, Leo Nene, he's a champion of food safety culture for that month. The plaque is for him to keep. What we found out is in about 6 months, it started being very, very competitive. All the employees, they take pictures with the CEO, they take pictures. So that's one avenue to go about it. But really, in quality, I advise people that production own the process. It's like you own your house. So if production is not on board, it becomes very, very, very challenging and it won't work.
Exactly.
So, I don't know what everybody else on this call think, but that is some of the stuff I've seen that we all can work on. Because fostering food safety culture is kind of a new paradigm now.
Yeah.
But way back in the day, I would say we that the older guys in the industry for 40 years, it was part of the norm. Because your plant have to be audit ready at all times. And we took pride in walking the plant and seeing that you engage the people you want to. The first thing you want to do, you want to share knowledge. You are a detective. You want to teach. And then when you see stuff on the floor, you want to bring it to the people immediately. And that become a cultural thing. But it depends on the tradition you have at the company. If you have a tradition that is just produce, it make it very, very difficult.
Right. I mean, I want to stop you there because you brought in just a ton of things right there. So on the recognition piece and setting it up so it's a healthy competition, super advice. At White Wave Foods, we have a program that we put in place, and full credit to Tom Weister, who was head of quality at White Wave Foods. He's now at Starbucks. He put a program in place, Ahmed, like a trophy. But what he did is he had a wrestling belt. You know, like when the professional wrestlers hold up their belts when they win the match. He had a belt made by the people who make those belts. And it was gorgeous. I mean, it was gold and had all kinds of embossing on it and had the White Wave logo. And it was in this beautiful display case. And the plant that had the best audit-ready status would win for that year the belt. And oh my God, what a competition for that. The honor of having the belt. And they would take it out of the case when they won. And everybody would put the belt on and give their best wrestling pose, right, with the belt. And it was amazing. People absolutely loved it. In one of the plants, they had a special shelf built outside the entrance that they would put it on. And then they would talk to the other plants and say, hey, listen, well, you know, we're going to win this again because we built a shelf for this. This belt is ours. You may borrow it for a while, but it's our belt, right? And so those guys would go back and forth. And it was amazing, right? And the next point on that you made is plants have a natural competitive environment, right? Which this helps break through, because a lot of times it's right, quality versus operations. We need to get the product out the door versus no, we need to make sure it's good. And there's this false view, it's a very false view in plants that it's us versus them. And tools like this help to break that down.
Absolutely.
So definitely think about in your companies, as you're working through this, how can you put in place some of that healthy competition? And to your point, Ahmed, involve senior leadership. Have the CEO come and present the belt to that plant when they win.
Absolutely. The CEO and the VP of manufacturing, the senior VP of engineering, they don't only come in and present the belt, but we also gave the employee of that area, the supervisor, a plaque. And the plaque would state that, I would say, I see somebody just joined named Sergio, so I'm calling some names on the chart. I know I can't type on the chat. I wish I could. But it says, I guess I can't type, but I hope I could type on and, welcome the group. But then it would say, for example, Sergio, Food Safety Champion of the Month. And then they would go up. I seen that Pedro, who is the supervisor for the RT area, he deserved this, or the lead, and then we give them a plaque. Mm-hmm. Another approach we have done that is very, very, very intriguing, but it have very, very beneficial. We created a Gimba walk. Okay. Now everybody know what a Gimba is, right? On this.
Well, why don't you kind of explain it so everybody knows?
Okay. A Gimba is a Japanese word used for GEMBA, used for the manufacturing floor. They call it where the crime is committed. It's very kind of nice to have, and we require that the executive team, the senior leadership team, once a month, they walk the floor with the production manager, the area supervisor, unannounced. For example, we just say, okay, today, Sergio, Bryan, Wallison, Ahmed will just go on the floor to do a walk. We're not telling the employee, and that have built also a good culture, because the employee know, when we talk to the employee, how you doing, como está, if you can speak Spanish, te quiero mucho, just joke and talk with the employee. That coming from the senior management have been very, very productive at the plant. So in less than 4 months, I walked in the plant yesterday in Lebanon. It blew my mind. And all the employees, they were like, oh, well, I mean, what you signing, what you doing this, what you doing that. So that is what I think people can do. But, there are other means and way. The culture of your plant, the tradition of your plant, your people. But to get this done, I would say, to me, the key is you need to build relationship with the people. It's very, very, very important. You build relationship with the employees, and that help, because you want to inspire the employee, you want to show them love, but you also want them to trust you. And once you get those three key elements with the employee, your work becomes easy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? I know, sir, you can want to guest talk or somebody, I don't know, are they just listening?
No, so definitely people have questions, put them in. And also what I would like to prompt people as well is, what are some of the tips and tricks you've learned in your business to install food safety culture in your business? What are some of the things that you're doing? I had a really, really good plant manager who was very good with his people. And he knew, he had a pretty big plant, several hundred employees, and he knew everybody very, very well. He could go up and talk with anybody and say, hi, Alice, how are you doing today? How's your husband doing? How's his ankle doing? I heard he hurt his ankle. Hey, if you need anything, let me know. He knew everyone in that plant very, very well, and they respected him for that.
That absolutely, I agree. I'll give an example to those on the call. Yesterday, I got a call from one of my FSQA manager, and he was in the hospital.
Oh.
And, he's this guy, he got people skilled to whatsoever. And he was surprised I show up in the hospital to visit him. And then he went, Ahmed, I've been here for 13 years. Nobody have done this before. I said, well, hey, you're my brother. We are partner. And so other people in their show, they have other issues or how they can approach it. But in my experience to the crowd I'm talking to the group, again, welcome everybody to the food leadership group. This is a very forum. We're here to share knowledge. And I tell people I would like to be the student of life and continue to learn. But I would say that some of the stuff you should focus on while doing this is, for example, we have position. There are 5 levels you have to go through, and that's a book. You can read that book. It's How Leadership Work. It's by John C. Maxwell. And there's 5 positions you have to be able to go through. The first one is a position, and it's a great place to work, but you don't want to live there, right? Because some people look at position as authoritative. So how do you look at your leadership in the way you do leadership in your plant? Do you look at it as the boss, or you look at it as you all are associate, even from the guy that clean the floor, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go to the next one, permission. Okay? When you have permission, you don't want to lead people until the people like you, but you have to get them the permission and empower them to do what they're going to do, and that builds trust. Mm-hmm. And now you go to production. Production is whether you're in production or in quality or in the warehouse, production is to produce, right? So when you're in production, you want to separate the real leader from the wannabe, because you have KPIs. And mm-hmm. the KPI show you have a lot of foreign material, a lot of stuff on hold, you fail in audit, then it becomes measurable. Then you go to people development. A leader help people grow and extend their intelligence and their impact in the business. It's not when you're at the business. So those are why I say when you have a food safety chat to talk to your people about these things. Then you come to the pinnacle part. Where will you reach that you have accomplished and developing other people, to take your job? And when I tell people this, they say, oh, Ahmed, you crazy. I say, why? A good leader always develops somebody else to take his job. Right? It's a healthy competition. And I see how somebody put, it's always a battle between sales, production, QC. I can read this. Let me see. Always a battle between food safety, production, everybody working together. I have to agree with Baha. I have to agree with you very, very well. It's a teamwork effort. I will give you guys a story about 20 years ago in my career, or more than 20 years. So you all know I'm an old man now. I'm not that old. You know.
You don't look that old.
I know, but in 1989, when I joined General Mills, I was transferred to the plant in Chelsea, Boston. Mm. However, there was a couple of people in the company, in that plant, that vowed for the job, and they didn't get the job. So I got a job, and then the office I was supposed to use was already being used by a Brazilian fellow. His name is Mario. We are the best of friends today. I call him. He knew sanitation from the in and out. Mm-hmm. However, the CEO from for General Mills flew down to the plant in Boston because, you know, we have just blown the record off for AIB. That time AIB, they didn't have all the GFSI. They had like AIB and so forth.
Right.
And then he said, "Ahmed, where your office?" He saw me working in the cafeteria. He said, "Where your office?" I said, "Well, Mario using the office, so I'm waiting." He said, No. Do you want me to call the plant manager right now and go and talk to him? Hey, you are the quality engineer for this place. You are the leader. I said, No. Or Singer. I said, "No, Mr. Singer. I will handle it." Mm-hmm. So I think he made a past comment to Mario. So Mario came to the cabinet and said, "Ahmed, you know it's your office. Why you didn't tell me?" I said, "No, it's okay." And Bryan, the name of the book is called How Successful People Lead by John Maxwell. So I told Mario said, "Ahmed," he said, "Ahmed, I vowed for this job, but I've been here all these years to give him the job." So I said, "Mario, General Mills is a different being. To be a manager or supervisor in General Mills, you must have a college degree. That's off the back. Mm-hmm. Number two, you have to go and do a lot of training. But anyway, I will help you if you show me everything you know in sanitation. As I can guarantee you, from the bottom of my heart, me and you will work together." He said, "Well, but bring another desk in the office." So I brought another desk in the office. And right now, Mario is the director for the plant in Chelsea. Nice. The food safety director. We funded a soccer team because we have an issue where maintenance, we're fighting production fighting quality fighting sanitation. But what I did was I found out what everybody had in common. And we had a lot of Brazilian, we had a lot of Dominican, a lot of El Salvadorian, we have Italian, we had African. I found out now that the only thing we had in common that we could deal with was a soccer team. So we founded a soccer team. The soccer team we founded. So these are we're just sharing some ideas here. The soccer team we founded, we won the championship. But when we go to play, nobody cares whether you're a production guy, you're a maintenance guy, you're a sales guy. We're so competitive. And then when we came into work that Monday, I think we lost 2 games, man, and it just became a fun atmosphere, and we all grew like that. Like today, after 40 years, Mario, Leonardo, or Hector, or some of them became doctors because they were going to school. Dr. Pete, we still keep in touch, and we still practice once every quarter. So I'm there for Leo Leno, just giving an idea about how to, know it's an issue. But the sales department, they want things like yesterday. And my advice, my recommendation to this team is get your sales group together. Let them go in the plant so they can see where you guys go through to make a product. Let sales work with R&D when they're launching a product. Or they want to, they will say, "Oh, I need this stuff yesterday." Because the sales guy job is to sell. And when they're selling, they don't know what's going on in the plant. So if your sales team know what's going on in the plant and know all these elements you got to go through, you got to source the raw material, you got to do this, and then that time frame, they will try to help you. And when they go out there, they will say, "Well, we can get this done, but we can get this done in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and so forth." So that was just what just happy on what Leonardo say about
I want to kind of make an observation here, kind of bring this up back to the 30,000 foot level. So everybody who's listening here, I want you to kind of, the central theme of what Ahmed is talking about here. It's not creating documents. It's not creating systems. It's people, right? We're all people. And the more that we can get to that people side of things and show the salespeople what work needs to be done and understand each other. I love the idea of the football teams and using those as a commonality, because you were able to bring the plant together. And I love that. So I think a lot of times in what we do in quality and food safety, we're too technical, right? And that's kind of a weird thing to say, but we think about the abstract, technical documentation, passing the audit side of things without taking the people information into account. So let's see. So Brandon has a comment here. Dr. Baugh, let me read through this. I go a lot with procurement and account managers releasing regulatory holds for unapproved vendor suppliers. They should, but at the same time, do not understand. I cannot release anything into production from an unknown vendor that has not been approved. They have to help me complete a deviation. And I was just getting complaints about the deviations we have to place on these vendors until we approve them. Wow, yeah, with this instance, I have to, and then so the message kind of you cut off. So I think, Brandon, we ran out of room. So if you got more,
but Brendan, Brendan have a very, very good insight there, and I would say, Brendan, there's, I would tell people, there's some people say two kind of buckets that they gave their team. They would say quality and food safety. I would add a third one to that and say sanitation, because we know sanitation is the fundamental principle of food safety. So, Brendan, whenever you have this situation, use the regulation. The regulation is very clear. So it's not Brendan talking to Ahmed, Bryan, but you say, look, you tell the procurement people, this is what the regulation states. We have an approved supplier program. If we cannot follow this program, how do we protect the customer? Then you can put in place a first pass quality, where you're teaching the procurement and accounting people that all these parameters have to be covered: your COA, your testing, your consolidation, you have your CCP charts, or you have your product evaluation. When those are done, then, because of the deviation, you have a non-conformance, you have to do an investigation. So, Brandon, I would say work with the procurement team, educate them on what food safety entails, because there's two things you see in a plant. Most people in the plant, they are loyal to position, but they should be loyal to the brand. Because if you're loyal to the brand to protect that brand, that means you also loyal to your boss, the other people, and so forth. So if you keep on getting complaints, I know Brandon is a very good topic you brought out. If you keep on getting complaints, you use the cost of quality. You use the cost of quality because the data speak for itself, right? You want to see how many complaints you have had, and then you add a cost to it, right? On how that costs in the company. And then you let procurement and accounting look at that. Trust me, you do that for 2 months, you will get their attention. Because if you're having like 20 customer complaint every time they do this, you have maybe a rework, they have to return the product or foreign material whatsoever. You add a whole department to it that working on these complaints and the salary. If you do that, you start showing them, because these people like numbers.
Yep.
And most quality people, I know we are talking about the food safety chart, the food safety foundation, but most people in quality, they do not use the cost of quality to make their point.
Yeah.
And when they use the cost of quality, and they have a different element in the cost of quality. You want to elaborate, anybody, or Bryan, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it circles back to people. So different positions have different goals, different objectives, right? So if I'm working in procurement, my goal may not be food safety. It's buying things cheaply. It's buying the things that meet the specifications. It's getting them to the plants on time. And when my review comes up at the end of the year, that's what my raise is based on, right? So that's what I'm going to focus on. If I don't understand the grief it causes within the organization, it's not clear to me, right? It's not self-evident. So that's one of the things, again, in quality, we have to communicate to these other groups and explain to them. So something that you can do in your organization as well is, why do we only keep food safety objectives in the quality and the regulatory in those groups? There should be, within people's bonus objectives in their evaluation programs, anybody that has any impact on food safety, that should be part of their objectives, right? So if procurement buys ingredients from unapproved vendors and forces them into the plant, and the plant has a recall, procurement needs to be accountable for that as well within their review, right? The organization needs to see this, because part of this, Ahmed, is what we don't see and these things that we don't explain. So for example, if you're in marketing at corporate, and you may go to the plant for tours every now and then, but you really don't understand what's going on in the plant, all of the day-to-day struggles and making sure the orders are done on time, all these things that we feel and we know because we're there all the time. If there's a push for a new product, and let's say it normally takes 6 months to launch a new product, and marketing says, no, we need to have this new product in 3 months this time because of whatever reason, and everybody rolls up their sleeves and they do it, that becomes the new standard, right? So now in marketing's mind, 6 months wasn't real. They did it in 3. That means I can ask for 3 months now every time, right? And you set yourself up for failure, because that you can only run so fast, and something's going to happen. So I love your comment, Ahmed, and I put it in the screen there. Be loyal to the brand first and your position second, right? It's all about that food safety and food quality and building that for the consumer, right? And this is why with the Food Safety Foundation, right, exactly what we're doing here right now, right, is sharing this information with everyone, right? Because we're all in the same boat when it comes to food safety. It's not a point of competition.
But Bryan, it also will be true too for the quality and food safety experts to start utilizing the cost of quality calculation.
Yes, absolutely.
Utilizing the cost of quality, is very, very important, because the cost of quality have 5 different steps. You have to look at the customer, it's a people or whatever. It's a compliance, because you are an eternal customer. And the cost of quality really add cost to it. And that cost, when you start presenting that cost, the executive really, they listen, because they know it's costing them the bottom line. Yeah. Having a approved supplier program is very important. And you have to have a system in place where you are saying, okay, approved supplier. You can have an approved supplier program and then you sourcing stuff from unapproved supplier. That's scary. Very scary. Suppose, let's say, for example, I'll use my buddy Bryan as an example. Bryan is one of my suppliers. He's not approved, right? And I'm buying stuff from Bryan. Bryan had a recall situation with the USDA that I don't know about, but he needed an approved supplier, and I didn't check the email, I didn't get the alert, and I used that ingredient. Guess what? I'm in just as much trouble as Bryan, because I didn't follow my procedure. And it's one of the biggest things we see in the industry today. People write procedure and they don't follow it. Yeah. We sit in the office, our quality expert, with the manager, with the quality manager, SQA manager, with the supervisor. We write procedures. And all this have to do with the leadership of the Food Safety Foundation. But we don't go to the employees and let these employees that have been there 10 years, 5 years, let them write the procedure. You also have to boost their morale, right? And they feel important. You're writing this stuff like your manager, your supervisor, your director. You're writing it for a college person. Yeah. Most of the employees in the food industry, they don't have that kind of background. So you have to look at your audience. An example, I used to go to my sanitation guy with small Spanish. I don't speak Spanish that much. I would say, Mira, please, you, how do you do this? This, please, 1 to 10. And they will write it down for you. Yep. Now you are the leader. You're going to take that and put it into good words, right? And then you're going to give it back to him. Then you give it to the second shift people. And guess what? When they go on break, oh man, the guy will say, oh man, a lady just joined some winter. Oh, so I wrote this. It's my procedure. You have already started building that culture of quality.
Yeah.
And some of the things too, the challenges I see in there that will help us build the food safety culture. We write all our SOP in English. 90 to 95% of our personnel are in Spanish. Go figure.
Yeah.
Right? So I tell people, I say, see John Grisham, one of the greatest writers. I love his book. John C. Maxwell. I love that book. I read it. But they don't write the book for themselves. They write the book for the audience. So always write procedure for the audience. If you have an approved supplier program, unapproved supplier, you need to educate the people. And I would say the bottom line from where I hear from where his name that just made a comment is they don't know. So in quality, you got to teach, you got to coach, you got to mentor. You know, I know every time something happens in a plan, they say, oh, corrective action is training. I like, really? Training is just one element of a corrective action, but you have to be able to coach and you have to be persuasive. You know, in quality, you're persuading people to do things. It's their idea. So that's how I will approach that when talking to Brandon. I hope that helped him.
Yeah, here's
Brandon, try some of these tactics and use the cost of quality. You can go and Google it. The calculation of cost of quality, it will help you there as well.
Absolutely.
Because it will put funds to put money to the bottom line what you're trying to do.
Yep, absolutely. 100% agree. Samita, awesome to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. So important to have accountability at all levels and across the cross-functional teams. Absolutely, 100%. Here's a little trick I used to do for the audience. When I would do trainings, Ahmed, so of course you want to put out treats and things like that for the people in the training to keep them interested in things like that. So I would put out, bowls of M&Ms or, little packages and things like this for everybody to snack on. And about 5 minutes or so into my presentation, I would say, so who here has eaten the candy that I put out? Raise your hand. And everybody, of course, would raise their hands. And I would say, how do you know that's safe? How do you know where I found that? Maybe I found that bag of candy in the dumpster, right? Why do you trust that? And everybody, right, you're laughing, right? And everybody would go, ugh, right? And I'm like, think of yourself as the consumer now, right? They assume that trust as well. If you break that trust, it cannot be rebuilt. We need to have that trust in our product. Whatever we make in our plant, you need to be comfortable taking it off the line and going home and giving that directly to your children or grandchildren and never having a second thought. And if you can't do that, there's a big problem. You need to do that, right?
And in regard to Samantha too as well, she said accountability. I would like for her to a little bit tell us what do she use, and when she said important, we all know accountability is important, but Samantha, I would say one of the key elements of accountability for you to have a KPI. Yeah. If you do not have key performance indicator, you can't hold people accountable because I had a pushback with bringing that to a lot of companies that in my career. And I say, if you don't measure something, you can't manage it. You can't hold nobody accountable. Who is accountable for the maintenance of food safety? What is the target you're trying to reach? Foreign material, you're talking about whole, your pre-operational and post-operational. If you start tracking those every month, and you have a meeting with the management team, you say, oh, well, we had internal audit this month. We found maybe 20, 30, 40 non-conformance. By the time come April, we still have 45 open, right? Why is it open? And you also want to tell people why. I tell to some of us that have kids, I think I went over this with Brian the last time, and I'll just share with you folks. I love you folks. So I will share with you guys. I have 5 kids. And I know I'm a good father. I love my kids. I would take a bullet and a sword for them. They all been to college. They got a degree. But I think I became a better father when I had my son. Because for my first 2 kids, I got in a lot of trouble. I'm in the basement watching my ball game or basketball outside. I love music. I play my jazz and stuff like that. And my daughter would come to me and say, Daddy, can I go outside and play? I would say, yeah. Whoop, she gone. And then my other daughter would come to and say, Daddy, can I have ice cream? Yeah, okay. And then when I go upstairs in the night with my wife said, she asked me, but Ahmed, why am I in this house? She said, every time I tell the kids to do something, you go the opposite. I'm like, oh my God. I never noticed it, right? So not knowing the kids, they knew how to play us. And our kids are very, very smart. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
But then when my son was born, he felt the wrath of Khan, because anytime he came to me and said, Daddy, can I, the first thing for my mother, what did mommy say? He was like, oh, geez, So, and that is the analogy we need to start using in quality. If you don't want to tell people what to do, you want to let them know why they should be doing it, right? We need to do the pre-operational inspection because the USDA required 416, blah, 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 416.1, 417, that we do this. If you have a third party to hold them accountable, you want to say that in the contract to make them sure they do a post-operational inspection. Because if they're inspecting, you're doing your pre-operation, you're catching. So there are a lot of ways, to have accountability across boundaries. Because in quality production, sales, they will push you. But you cannot compromise food safety issue. That is the foundation. Because food safety is, for me, I tell everybody, food safety, non-negotiable. It's a black and white. But if you start having gray area in food safety, then you're opening a Pandora box, or you're setting a precedent, because you do it one time, they're looking to say, okay, fine, Bryan released this stuff this time. Like, what Brendan is saying, well, he released this stuff, he took it this time. But Brendan, if you start putting those stuff on hold, and you have a whole program and a whole procedure, trust me, they will listen. Because, everybody tests everybody. I hope that makes sense to people on this call. But we're just sharing experiences.
Well, I mean, Ahmed, I think that's such an important point that I want to repeat it and reflect that back, because that was something I would do with my quality manager. So when I was vice president of quality at different companies, one of the things I would always do with my quality managers, I would sit down with them and have a conversation. And I would say, listen, guys, there's 3 buckets of information you're going to be managing in quality: food safety, food quality, and operational. Operational data is fine. That's what the plant needs to make sure they're running efficiently. Pounds per man hour, labor rates, downtimes, all the information the plant manager needs to have a healthy plant. And you need that to run. The next group is food quality. These are the things that protect the brand, right? These are the things that the consumer expects. These are how the product tastes, how the product looks, all of the organoleptic things, the things that makes the consumer go, it's like the coffee, right? When I take a sip of my coffee, it's like, oh, this is amazing. This is exactly what I want as a consumer. This is good coffee. It's quality. The third bucket, guys, and this is the most important bucket, is food safety. And there is no compromise on food safety. It's either it's good or it's not. And if you find something that violates food safety, I will back you 100%. Never, ever, ever, ever compromise on food safety. You cannot do that. Food quality is a business decision, and we can look at data and figure out the best course of action, but food safety is easy. That's the easiest decision you will make in the company. You need to support that 100%, and then I will support you and the CEO and everyone in the organization as well. And so I would pound that into their head so that they understood that very, very clearly.
That's absolutely correct. I couldn't agree with you more, because most of the people on this call, they are food safety experts. We're sharing idea. You have your CCP that is part of food safety. Mostly food safety is regulatory compliance. And you find most of the time in the plant, people take that very seriously. Because if you have your control chart, whether you're doing pasteurization or whether you're doing stabilization, you're doing time, temperature. And if you look at the CFR, it tells you, like in the meat business, they have the time and temperature table. You have to meet these criteria to release the product. So like what Bryan is saying, that your regulatory compliance is a CCP, and you always finding that in the plant that people mostly look at the regulatory compliance, because they know if you're in the meat poultry or pork business, you have the USDA on site, and his only job is to make sure Title 9 that have to do with animal product and food. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
If you're into like the dairy industry, which is one of the best industry to work in, I would say, to get education experience. Because in dairy, you're not only dealing with the USDA, you're dealing with the FDA as well. I mean, you guys know that. And the FDA, they have their own regulation, and then the USDA have their own regulation. So you got to juggle those 2 balls to see how you can balance that. But if you know, again, I would say know your regulatory compliance.
Yes.
It's very, very important as a practitioner or as a food safety expert. In order to have a good food safety culture, know your regulations. Because if you don't know your regulation, you can teach people your regulation. Again, go back to people, like how we started here. That is the most valuable asset. If you're teaching the people and telling them about regulations, you have already won them. And like I say, you want the people to trust you. But I tell people, I trust everybody when I see you, but you have to earn it, right? When I was with Dairy Farmers in America, we had a saying that I'm from Missouri, show me, show me state, right? And you can use, and have fun doing it. I would say you have to love what you do. And to me, that's period. In the industry, I was talking to Bryan the other day. If you passion, you either have it or you don't. It's just like food safety.
Right.
You cannot teach anybody passion for the job. Nobody get up in the morning and go to work and say, today I'm going to come to work. I'm going to, excuse the expression, guys, I'm going to mess up. Nope. Nobody. I haven't seen that person my whole entire life. But if they don't know what they're doing, most people in the industry, they talk about job description. And I will segue into some food safety leadership stuff here today. And I know everybody on this call, most of them, they have it. When you ask them, do you have a job description? Yes. Because it's a requirement, right? But go Google right now and say food safety manager job description. You will find tons of job description from different companies, correct? But one thing that we, the quality expert, do not put in our ammunition, our paradigm, is the job expectation, right? Job description is describing what the person should be doing. Job expectation is sitting Ahmed and Bryan down in your department or in the production department and say, look, these are the expectation and the requirement that food safety requires. So you are setting a standard. Now, the standard you set is the standard you're going to accept, right? So please take that into consideration when you're doing your food safety culture. Try to focus on job expectation, not only job description.
Yes. So one of the things, Ahmed, that I warned you about going into these food safety chats is how quickly the time goes, right? We're already at 47 minutes. It's crazy, isn't it? What words of wisdom, and I want to thank you again for joining us today, because this has been fantastic. So as we talk about everything, our tips and our overall observations and food safety culture, what kind of ideas or closing comments do you have for our listeners today?
For our listeners, I would say I would cover some of those. My closing comment will be treat people fairly, set good job expectations, don't look at job description, and also making sure that you're rewarding people and you're recognizing people. And also 2 key words, or maybe 3. Love, kindness, and valuing people. Take you a long way. And, I'm open. You all have my information, Bryan, my information, but those are key stuff. Be a solution person. Don't be a problem finding person, right? Use the boomerang effect and make sure you're showing your people how to solve problems. Because we all know we have problems. You can call it problem, you can call it challenge, you can call it opportunity. But making sure that you're holding people accountable and you're getting the support, using cost of quality in the closing to make your case. Because nobody in this industry that I've worked in 40 years will want to violate regulatory requirements, especially when they know the consequences that go with it.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you, everybody.
Very well said. So kind of what you're seeing here, and I'm very honored to have Dr. Ba as part of the Food Safety Foundation, and I was so pleased that he was able to join us today. What you're seeing here is just a small example of what goes on in the foundation. This sharing of information and being able to talk with Dr. Ba and ask him questions and get information, because we want to share what we have learned in our careers and we want to make food safety better for everyone. So consider joining the Food Safety Foundation. I know that once you do, and once you get access to the professionals and the information in here, and working on food safety, because it's not a point of competition. Food safety is collaborative. So Dr. Baugh, thank you again. Really appreciate you joining us today. And everybody, we will.
Last but not the least, real quick, Bryan.
Yes.
I would like for the members of the Food Safety Foundation, thank you very much for joining us. And I would like a constructive 360 feedback on what you think, how I did. Very important.
Nice. I love it. Thank you, Dr. Baugh. Enjoy your weekend. And everyone, we will see you back here next Friday at this same time. So have a good one. And Dr. Baugh, thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.